Probably just say that then. So deep down, what?
Deep down, I've got to be honest with you. I kind of want Tristan to wrap his big arms around me and tell me everything's going to be okay.
All right. What would be the outcome of that?
I'd feel safe.
Allaby Bedders in bits. And welcome to In Bits with Allaby Bedders from Ideal Noise Studios in London. I'm Matt Allaby.
And I am Bedders.
Hi Mark, how you doing, mate?
Hello. You alright?
I'm very excited because it's the Noisily Special.
Yeah, baby.
And this show is going to be a little bit different from the normal podcast, isn't it?
Yep, indeed.
Because we've got a different format. We're actually doing some interviews this time with a couple of legends from the scene.
Two of my faves.
Who have we got?
We have lined up a gentleman who has been a stalwart in the psychedelic trance scene in the UK, I guess, for the past 15 years. Goes by the name Liquid James. He is part of the management team at Noisily Festival.
Yep.
Runs the Liquid stage and is heavily involved with running the whole festival.
An all-round nice guy.
An all-round nice guy from Birmingham.
And our second guest, Mark, is only the best bloody DJ in the world.
Oh my God. Not me.
Well, you're on the podcast.
What?
Already.
Oh, right, yeah. James Monro, you mean?
James Monro.
James fucking Monro.
This podcast is going to have, like I say, a slightly different format. We're not going to have our regular items, such as the news, which is everyone's favourite.
Well, this is it. Yeah, everyone likes my news.
The news with Bedders and, other silly items. We're just going to focus on the interviews this time. But what we are going to do...
Well, hold on, wait. So there's no sort of stories about S&M animals or...
Not this week, but returning... We've already recorded some material, and it is a little bit sexy. So
we seem to be heading down a rather sexy road every time we're recording.
It's weird, isn't it? I don't know why we seem to gravitate towards that. It's not on purpose.
Well, Matt, sex sells.
Well, maybe it is that, but I don't think we come at it from that kind of marketing angle, do we? It's it's just what happens to tickle us, I guess.
Exactly. Depends what tickles you. Anyway,
so next month we'll be back to the same kind of format, and we'll have all of those lovely features in there. But this week's it's the Noisily Special, so we've got
to celebrate, the UK's sort of best, most loved festival with techno and trance.
Yeah, for sure. On top of the interviews, what you are going to get as part of the package, you lucky bastards.
You lucky things.
Is music solely from artists who are performing at Noisily Festival, and there are some absolute monsters.
Yeah, unbelievable.
So I think we're just gonna get straight into it. We're gonna kick off with the first track, and then after that track we should hear from James Anthony, or as a lot of people know him as
Liquid James.
What's this first track, Mark?
One of the standout artists from the lineup this year. It's Ronnie Size. I cannot wait to see Ronnie Size. I mean, the dance floor is going to be insane when he plays. This is one of, I guess, his most iconic tracks, Brown Paper Bag. Allaby Bedders. Testing.
Testing.
Can you actually hear us, mate?
I can hear you guys loud and clear.
Oh, that's good.
Can you hear me? Because I've got a squeakier voice.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, mate.
We can hear you.
Yeah.
All right, how's it going, lads?
Good.
Thank you very much for doing this interview, James.
Thank you very much for having me, guys. Yes, good to be on the show.
Welcome on In Bits, our first guest.
Our first guest.
Ever. Possibly.
Wow. What an honour. What an honour.
It's all right, you're welcome.
You're welcome.
No, thanks, man.
Would you already say that's about the pinnacle of your career so far? Or?
Wow, it's up there, definitely.
Cheers, mate.
James, we obviously know you
yes.
through Liquid Connective and Liquid Records. More recently with, Atomic Drop, your new act, Audio Anonymous. But please tell all our lovely fans listening now, how did you come to be involved with Noisily Festival?
Oh, with Noisily Festival, well, I played at Noisily for the first 2 years as Atomic Drop.
Right.
And just shortly after the second time I played there, the second year of Noisily, I had a meet up with Chris Williams, the softly spoken Chris from
That's right.
Nanoplex.
Yeah. Chris.
And he came down to meet me in Brighton, and he started talking about the idea of working on an event and a festival that would take the place of what the Glade stood for in the early years, basically.
Right.
It's quite a big hole to fill, that one.
Well, quite a big hole to fill.
It's interesting, though, that conversation actually happened, because it does feel kind of that way. It does feel like Noisily has sort of, achieved that in a way.
This is a big thing to take on board, and, all the events I've done in my time. This is quite a serious thing to take on, and first of all, we've got to find the right venue.
Yeah.
And we thought of a few places and spoke to a couple of people, but very expensive and all of that. Quite hard to find the right location for something.
Sure, it is.
Yep.
I think the Glade always suffered from that as well, to be honest.
Yeah, that's right.
And they do it in some Milton Keynes bowl or something.
They did. I really enjoyed that party, actually, but it wasn't one of people's favourites.
It was the messiest one. Yeah.
It was.
It had that kind of like apocalyptic feel.
It did, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, and I basically thought about the Noisily guys and their site. It was so beautiful, and perfect. And at the time, really, it was a sort of, although it was basically a small sort of intimate party, really.
Yeah.
And I called Charles up, and they all happened to be on the Noisily site having a crisis meeting about possibly never ever doing it again.
Brilliant.
So it was good timing.
Timing was perfect.
So it was however you would explain that.
Well, as the Chancellors would call it would be written in the galaxy. No?
Oh, well, I don't know. Synergy, some kind of mystical,
something like that.
Yeah.
I was like, hey guys, moment. Well, why don't we work together on something and to push this forward, and we'll pull our resources and contacts and mine and Chris's experience and. Bring back the Liquid stage and try and make it work as an event in the UK, which is quite a difficult thing to do, really. And it's been great for me personally, because I've managed to sort of hone all of my years of doing what I've been doing for the scene and for events, and to hone it into something really solid and potentially will actually work. And
feels like everything might have been leading up to that moment. Maybe you get to put it all into practice. Then
I've got to put it all into practice and put all my resources.
Well,
and
I like to think
contacts
that I was one of the canaries in the mine for your testing. I guess maybe even 10, maybe even 12 years ago, I was going to those first Liquid Connective parties in Kent.
The Liquid parties,
some sort of long-haired dribbling hippie. Lying down in some kind of ditch at some point. So thank you for the build-up for that.
And you're based in Brighton now, aren't you, mate?
I'm in Brighton now. We've just recently moved out to Shoreham, though.
Oh, okay.
So,
but I still that same area.
Yeah, but it's still Sussex. Yeah.
With your kids?
With the two kids. Yeah.
One of which is called
Leo.
Leo, as is my boy. There we go.
Yay.
You copied me, but whatever. That's fine.
I did. Whatever.
But yeah, from your accent, I think we can, assume that you're not from Brighton originally. Where are you from, mate?
We know. What I'm saying? What do you mean, Arkid?
I'm just asking because it's an interesting to find out. Birmingham,
ladies and gentlemen, for those of you listening around the world, James is from a part of the world called Birmingham. Which is where a wonderful band called Slade came from. If you ever heard the song "Here It Is, Merry Christmas," they are actually. He is the mayor of Birmingham.
What was it? I mean, first of all, when did you actually move down from Birmingham?
Oh no!
How long have you been down south?
I've moved out of Birmingham when I was 18 to Manchester.
Oh, really?
Oh no! Sorry.
You did a stint up north first.
I was in Birmingham for the first 18 years, and then. My mum moved down to Dorset, so that was like another world, totally.
Right.
Wow, you've had all the accents, haven't you?
Yeah, and then my studies took me to Manchester, and then finally for my degree to Kent, which is where I met Ross.
I was literally about to say, at what point in this chaos did you meet that monster that is Liquid Ross?
That monster. Bless him. I met at uni in Kent. We were both doing a photography degree. He was a year above me.
Okay.
And we started putting on events in, 98, really. No, yeah, 98 started off small then.
Yeah, I've seen the photos of you two looking all hairy and interesting.
So you've known each other for many years.
Yeah, you've known each other.
Long time.
Well, it kind of leads us to a question we had sort of lined up about this. So, I mean, you've known him for many years, over the years, thrown many parties together, travelled the world together. Have you ever seen each other fully naked?
That's a really good question.
Thanks.
Not that I can remember, but there's some hazy times back there, man.
So it could have happened.
I'm sure it might have happened along the way somewhere, but
And have you ever kissed?
Probably had a little kiss along the way. Yeah,
I think I've kissed Ross.
so he's easy then.
I've almost certainly kissed him.
He gives out the kisses quite easily.
He's very kissy.
He gives it out.
Yeah, he's a bit of a sweetheart.
He's a little bit bitey as well, but anyway.
Let's get back to the
actual interview.
To Noisily itself. What acts in particular are you really looking forward to this year?
I'm really looking forward on the techno side, on the Noisily stage for Quiver.
Yeah. Love him.
Patrice Baumel.
Of course. One of my favourite producers at the moment.
Oh yeah, he's great. So I'm really glad that we managed to get him.
He's amazing.
So the Sunday's going to be strong because it's Patrice Baumel, Dinox and Beckers and Oliver Koletsky closing.
Oh, is that going to clash with us?
Oh, massively. No.
Shit.
Yeah, is there any other names you were looking forward to?
Any other names in particular?
Ronnie Size. I'm really looking forward to.
Sure. Talking something and...
Yeah, Dinox and Beckers, yes.
It sounds the same. Something and...
Oh, who are these? Becker. These two new guys coming up. What are they called again?
Dinox and Bear.
Allaby and Bedders.
Oh, that's embarrassing. You didn't... Why did you... We were...
Well,
we weren't even thinking. I mean... We weren't even thinking about it.
Mate, you didn't. Honestly, it's really embarrassing. You didn't have to.
I was building up to it, guys.
But thank you anyway.
It's great to have you guys on board.
What is the most diva thing you've ever experienced or heard of with requests from artists playing at your events, or anything that you've been involved with?
Have you got someone in mind when you mention?
No, not at all. We're just
just anything. Any diva, any diva behaviour.
Well, last Noisily, Beardy Man, his rider is quite long.
Oh, give us a couple of items off the rider.
Beg your pardon? His rider is quite long. Sorry, we're quite...
Mark was trying to make a joke, and I was legitimately trying to ask. I want a couple of items off his rider.
Well, it was something like point 27 was the word anus framed in a picture.
That's great.
Yeah, that's brilliant. I like him more for that.
I thought it was amazing because it was right at the end, so it means that you've read the rider.
Yeah.
And that was the only thing out of all of them that we gave him on his rider.
Really?
So you had the word anus framed.
So you ignored all of the other
items?
No,
and then... not all of them. Sure. But, some of them are a bit much, like sushi and all that kind of... It's a bit of a joke.
He requested sushi?
Oh, well, so you know what?
Just to mix it up for you.
Just to mix it up. No, I haven't got it in front of me, but there's a lot of funny requests.
Oh, that's great.
And but we got our art department, Ruth and the crew, to make a really sort of sparkly, glitzy, really intricate work of art that was all based around the word anus framed. But yeah, he Beardy Man absolutely loved that picture.
I bet he did. Did he get to take it with him?
And of course he did. Yeah, I handed it to him personally.
There you go.
Yeah, he's a really nice guy, man. Yeah, it's good. And what else? Congo Natty requesting specifically like black towels.
Right. Okay. Only black towels.
Yeah,
that's interesting.
Which, that's quite interesting.
Yeah.
And basically we didn't have them.
Mucky devil.
I ran down to. Do you remember Nigel Dream Creation? No,
Dream
Nigel,
Temple.
Dream Temple.
Yeah, of course. Hi, Nigel.
Hi, Nigel. Has got a sort of a shop at Noisily
by the name of Star Tessa.
Star Tessa, that's right. I went down to him and said, "Have you got any towels?" And he basically handed me a couple of brand new, but just tea towels. So he got some tea towels.
His endless supply of black tea towels. He's very famous for them in the trance scene. Yes,
that's great. I mean, we mentioned Rufy there, and that's just one of the one out of the wonderful collection of people who run Noisily.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And we couldn't have them all on today.
Sorry, guys.
So
No, but
we
it's a great team, definitely.
Well, we have a quick sort of quick fire round on that team in particular, and you are allowed to say your own name for all of these.
Yeah. Okay. So, who is the funniest member of the Noisily team?
I would have to say Charles.
Okay, loudest.
Yeah. Bill. Oh, sorry, no, Chris Williams.
Yeah, there you go. Zippy!
Is it? Yeah, definitely Chris.
Who is the best looking member of the team?
Well, what do you guys think?
Depends what time you put us on.
Headlining?
Well, it's you then, mate.
You're bloody gorgeous.
Oh,
You're
cheers.
fucking well fit. You are so fit.
The calmest under pressure.
Calmest under pressure. Difficult one. Well, everyone kind of deals with the stress. It's highly stressful.
That's good to know.
Everyone deals with it very well.
Nicely sat on the fence there as well.
Yeah.
Good.
Excellent.
Good. Who is the hardest working? Again, you're not going to be able to answer this because you'll offend everyone, but...
It's different. Everyone works so hard. It's ridiculous.
Well, I've experienced it. I can see that. Everyone, my experiences are
yeah,
Noisily.
and everyone goes beyond the call of duty.
Absolutely.
All the directors get their hands dirty and do a lot of the grunt work as well. And it's a really good team effort. So I can't really say someone works the hardest.
All right, who's the best dressed? In your opinion, this is. I mean,
Yeah.
Angus, the site manager, dresses up pretty good during the event.
Lovely.
It's quite funny watching all the site crew.
Yeah.
All grubby for the build, and then during the event they're in like really spangly fandangled shirts
Amazing.
and
Yeah.
stuff. You're like
All right, who's the worst? Worst dressed?
Chris Williams.
Hey! It is
Sorry.
Oakley jumper.
Sorry, Chris.
Oh, come on, we all love Chris.
Love Chris.
Oh, no, sorry.
And who's got the most cash?
Definitely not me.
We're putting you into a corner there, mate.
So,
Sorry.
and last one, who out of that lot handles the drinks tokens so we know who to hassle when we run out?
Well, I'm probably the easiest to tap up.
There you go.
Sweet. We'll hold you to that,
Another
mate.
word.
We got this
Yeah,
on
no,
radio.
we have to be quite strict because it obviously gets out of,
Well, we're not looking for a legally binding
unless
contract.
a rider's sent through, guys.
Well, I want a
sent
different
through,
word to
yeah.
anus. I'm going to be coming up with a different word to have framed
Right.
behind us when we play.
Hi, mate. We're just doing some interviews for Noisily Festival Radio. What's your name, where you from, and who you looking forward to seeing?
Hi everyone. My name's Carl. I'm from Oldham. It's just north of Manchester, actually. I've just come down with my girlfriend Jane. Say hi, Jane. Hi. We can't wait to see Infected Mushroom play. Woo!
They're not playing this year.
You are?
They're not playing.
They're not fucking playing? Who else is playing? Actually, I'll tell you what. Can't wait to see Asterix.
Not playing, no.
They're not playing, right? Well, fucking Goblin then.
No.
Bliss?
No.
Well, who is playing?
Have you heard of Allaby Bedders?
Who the fuck are Allaby Bedders?
So we're going to get back to that interview with James in a minute, but first we want to play a track, don't we, Mark? What are we going to play?
We do indeed. Yeah, we're going to play a track from a duo that are playing at Noisily this year, obviously, who have brought me probably some of the most joy from parties and experiences on dance floors over the past 10, 15 years. They were responsible for possibly my finest or most enjoyable dance floor moment ever 2 years ago at Noisily. It is the legendary Dinox and Beckers. This is a remix of a track by Quiver, who's also playing at Noisily.
So you're getting two in one here?
Well, two birds, one stone, as they say.
Right.
So this is a remix of a track from Quiver, and it's called Wait For You by Dinox and Beckers.
Lovely stuff.
Sexy. Hey guys, me again. I've just skydived directly onto a dance floor in Burning Man with 17,000 people dressed in costumes you couldn't even imagine, with decorations that you've never seen before, and lasers that could reach the fucking moon. Sometimes you just have to breathe life in and be as humble as you can, guys. Burning Man is actually quite affordable if you work out the minor details. Okay, let's go back to some more serious questions. Do you want to tell us about your new act, Audio Anonymous? When are you playing at Noisily? How would you describe the style? And have you got a busy summer ahead?
In the studio or out of or whatever?
Yeah, we're mostly, because we both got Ken and I. Well, first of all, the project's called Audio Anonymous, and it's a sort of, I would say it's techno, some progressive techno, some tech house, but mostly on the techno sort of vibe. Techers.
Lovely.
So we started off writing a bit slow, like 123, 124, but recently we've been doing a bit more.
Yep.
Sort of 126.
Yep.
That kind of tempo. Just slightly more sort of peak time and club.
Yeah, it's a little bit more warehousey.
I love the track that you released with Nanoplex, which I hilariously said this track is called Audio Anonymous on one of the podcasts. That was that was embarrassing, but
it was great that you played the tracks. Thanks. That was a 2-track EP out on Iboga. We had a track out on Click Records.
Yep. And what have you got coming up? You got coming out on Iboga and Flow soon?
2-track EP coming out. That's a collaboration with Ben Coda coming out on Flow Records.
Yep.
Yeah, and then we've got Ali G's doing a compilation on Iboga, and Faceless Techno is going to be on that.
Hey, Ali G! Time for my Ali G present. Hey, wait till you hear this. No more of that. Sorry, Ali.
I love Ali.
We love Ali G. Hello, Ali.
Oh, top.
Ali's the best.
So yeah, he's doing a comp, so we got one on that.
More on the musical side of things. What are your sort of early musical influences, personally?
Oh, personally, when I was young, like 90s hip hop.
Yeah, what kind of set you off down this?
Really into trip hop. That's what I first started DJing. Was like.
Was it?
All on vinyl, like Manchester. Remember that Manchester label, Fat City Records.
Yes, mate. I tell you what. The early days of me DJing, I was doing a lot of kind of trip hop and breakbeat and stuff like that as well. So yeah, it was a lot of Fat City stuff.
All my vinyl collection is all that kind of stuff, and sort of mid-late 90s drum and bass. But I got really.
I mainly started off with MC Hammer shit. So.
Fat City and Grand Central,
Yes.
Ray and Christian's label. I've got all of their stuff on vinyl.
They're on Oldham Street, Fat City.
They were, yeah. I love that label back then. It really turned me on to that sort of UK instrumental hip hop and trip hop, electronica sort of stuff.
Staying on a geeky kind of musical side, what's your favourite piece of studio gear?
What, that I've got personally?
Yeah, that you use, let's say.
I think my most cherished thing, apart from my guitar, my Les Paul, is we've got this thing called, it's a Vortexion CBL5. It was the first ever.
Now this is geeky because I am a nerd and I've never heard of that. So.
I am completely blank.
So. Basically, it's the first ever real stereo, reel-to-reel ferrograph, first ever tape machine.
Right, okay.
Stereo, and it was originally, I think, developed by the military? I think it's all military valves, basically. So it's first stereo.
What, British or like Russian?
Yeah, no, British.
British, wow.
And then it was bought or used by the BBC from the 70s, like 70, 71, for their stuff.
Amazing. So are you running stuff through this just to get a warmth out
or
of it?
Just purely use it as like a signal processor, a preamp type thing to warm things up, like analog warmth. And it's basically got 7 military-grade valves in each channel, left and right, so you can daisy chain it. So it's going through 14 military-grade valves.
Wow!
If I were to choose a valve, I would want it to be a military-grade one.
Well, exactly. Yeah.
Great answer.
Good answer. Thank you.
Oh, thanks, man. Cheers.
Obviously, you played hundreds of gigs over the years. There are pitfalls with DJing and playing out live in terms of like moments that aren't necessarily the best. Now, what is the most embarrassing gig moment you've ever had whilst playing?
I mean, me personally, or like me as a sort of a
whatever's
the
better story.
Whatever's the better story. If you've got one that involves you, I know there's plenty about Ross falling asleep at the decks and stuff.
Well, back in the day when we were, let's say, a little bit less professional.
Sure.
Yeah, because we're professional now.
Well, you didn't have the right cables with you and stuff.
And all of that kind of stuff. Yeah. No, we played a gig in Holland at the. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it correctly, but Rauhut. Do you know that? It's like
I don't know. No.
You do know it.
No, I don't. I just made it up. I literally just made that up.
Oh no, Rauhut. It's like they've had loads of parties over the years. It's sort of a village that's squatted outside Amsterdam.
Oh, I know it. Yeah, of course.
Roygord or something.
Yes, we're just pronouncing it very wrong, I believe. But
but it's pronounced Rauhut.
I've also played in that place, so I know.
So you do know it.
Yeah, of course I know it. Yeah.
But like me, you probably.
I had a few unprofessional years, James. So
a few. Well, at that gig especially, because we obviously went and had a load of coffees beforehand in the coffee shops. And then when we got there, smashed our rider and free drinks quite a few times over before the gig. And towards the end of the set that we were playing, that was in the church venue, it's a church venue there.
Yeah.
Ken went rather pale. It was his birthday, by the way. And towards the end, just before we finished, it was about 5-10 minutes before the end of the set, he just went like literally white, threw up all over the altar.
And then threw up over what? Over the altar?
Like all the church.
Oh, that's gorgeous.
Yeah, lovely. And also all over this German DJ that was rather serious looking dude that was coming on after us. He went all over him.
So he had to start his set covered in sick.
Oh, it was pretty bad. But we got away with it somehow. It was his birthday, and
who the Germans?
No, it was Ken's birthday.
Thank God it wasn't the Germans.
What a present!
My birthday being thrown up on.
All right, let's round this off with a nice, easy question.
All right. Then.
So, who is the DJ or artist you would like to most book for Noisily that you haven't yet managed to, for whatever reason?
Ooh, I quite like to get Opio.
Opio, okay.
For the Treehouse stage, and we've tried to get him over the last few years, but he's always quite difficult to get. But actually, maybe if I could redo that, Tipper.
Yes, Tipper would be great.
Awesome. I think awesome for that sort of like pioneer of electronic music. And for me, he's an absolute legend,
Yes, and like production-wise, sonically, for anyone who's into production and sound engineering, is just off the charts. Brilliant.
It is, yeah. So I'd have to say Tipper, actually.
Brilliant. Yeah, okay, good answer. Amazing. For me, I'd have to say, like, getting Slam a few years back was a real score.
Oh, yeah.
Because that for me is old school, my kind of music, when I was going out as a young whippersnapper, like that was the kind of stuff. I think I've still got their first album on vinyl, and that was a big moment for me to see those guys.
I mean, I know you're asking me the questions, but I respect your guys, both your opinion. Who would you like to see there?
I mean, I would. If you'd have asked me this before the lineup came out, I would have said Patrice Baumel. So
yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh,
so
awesome.
you've nailed it pretty much.
Oh, nice one. Okay, good.
And I was I realise he's probably already played. In fact, I think he has. But I quite like to see Bodson again.
Again, yeah. Well, he was on the list if we couldn't get.
Thank you very much for your time.
Legend.
No worries.
Thanks so much for being on, man.
Thanks ever so much for having me, inviting me. It's an honour. Thanks, dude.
Yeah, well, we can't wait to be in the woods in 4 months' time.
Yeah, really looking forward to your set, by the way.
Yeah. Thank you very much. The last thing we wanted to do is we're going to play one of your tracks, so we want you to intro it for us, mate.
Thanks, guys. This is Faceless Techno by Audio Anonymous, coming out soon on Iboga Records.
Sweet. Happy days. Happy days. Cheers, James.
Nice
Love you.
Guys. Thanks ever so much.
Love you.
Guys. Cheers.
Hi Savannah, it's Hugo here. Can't wait for Noisily next week. It's going to be bloody amazing. So just want to make sure we've got everything in place. I'm sorting out the pingers and wellies. Harry is on glitter and wigs. Tatiana's sorting out the bugle, of course she is. And India is bringing her collection of leggings and big bloody hair. No need for icky tents as we're glamping this year, obvs. Can't wait for Techers on the Sunday. Bye, darling. Mwah, mwah, mwah.
I'm Morgan Freeman. When I'm not out raving with all my friends, I like to recline back in my chair with my 2 dogs, bowl of muesli, and listen to Allaby Bedders. I'm Morgan Freeman.
Hello.
James.
Tout bon.
Hello.
Hello, London.
Calling London.
Hang on, turn your speaker down, darling.
Is this?
Hang on a
Oh,
second.
we've got feedback.
This is the first time you've done this, isn't it, James?
God,
No worries, you let us know when you're ready.
What are you wearing?
No, we haven't started yet. Can you hear us okay? That is better, yeah, there's no
I
feedback
hear
now.
that mate. Glorious stereo with a nice warm bottom end.
Oh, lovely.
So, ladies and gents, a legend of the psychedelic progressive trance scene, and James knows this because I've told him many times.
As have I.
My favourite trance DJ ever.
Yeah.
Co-founder of the mighty and hugely influential Flying Rhino Records, which historically has put out some of the greatest music this scene has ever heard. He's played some of the most memorable live and DJ sets around the globe, spanning back 2 decades as himself, as part of 4D and Bumbling Loons, and was once, I believe, a well-known exotic dancer from Shrewsbury.
Yeah.
I was.
Ladies and gentlemen, ladies love him, men want to be him. James Monro.
Yay! Which part of that introduction was true?
Did we get anything?
All of it.
Brilliant.
All of it.
Good man.
Yeah. All those hen parties.
Where are you actually from, James?
Speciality bar mitzvahs, mate.
I mean, we guessed, well, jokingly, Shrewsbury, just because it sounded funny. But where are you actually from, mate? Where do you hail from in the UK?
Edinburgh.
Oh, just like our Hamish. He is also from Scotland.
Well, that's about right, yeah.
Where are you right now? What? Describe what you're seeing.
Yeah, what are you seeing? Are you seeing horses running past you with mangoes?
Well, funny enough, I am seeing horses. So I'm with actually the sun's just setting. The horses are being corralled and put in the stables. The chickens are getting excited. Dolly the sheep is getting excited.
God
it's
bless
feeding
her.
time.
Oh, I do love Dolly.
God bless her.
Hello, Dolly.
The goats are all rushing about, getting excited. The pigs are squealing. It's all good.
It sounds
Good
amazing.
stuff. We are currently in a studio in Peckham
With no windows.
Yeah, and there's snow in the alleyway, and Matt has no trousers on.
We should mention as well that you're in Brazil. You're based in Brazil now, aren't you?
I am, yeah.
Whereabouts?
I
You're
took
down
the plunge.
south.
Down south, mate, near Florianopolis.
Building yourself a
place
nice
called
little,
Encantada.
nice little compound. You're building yourself down
South
there.
of the river.
Well south of the river, mate.
Yeah, mate.
I visited there in the very early days before you'd started any kind of, sort of. It was almost like you were digging out the forest at that point or something, or just planning what you were going to do
came
with
to our
it.
funny little hobbit house, didn't you?
That's right. Yeah. Does that not exist anymore, or is it expanded?
No,
since then?
that was a rental thing that we lived there
Right.
for. We had a happy 6 years there.
Right.
But since moved up the hill where there's a bit of land and we've got a bit of space and then view and it's all
Amazing.
good, mate.
And you
I'm
just
building a recording studio now.
I was going to say,
amazing.
yeah, you've been sending me photos of you were sleeping in a hammock, essentially outdoors for a while, weren't you, over the Christmas period?
Yeah,
I mean-
we rented the house out. And we're living in a building site, but it's a very comfortable building site because it's warm. So
Sure,
it didn't
yeah,
matter.
sounds rough. Yeah.
It sounds awful. I think you told me what you had for breakfast the other week, and I was just having a bit of Marmite on toast. You were like, fresh papaya with the tears of a young nubile.
Fresh goat's milk and
My wife went out and milked the cow, and
all right.
Well, it's a good mixture of the analog and the digital. I have to
Sure.
say.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, before we get into it, I just wanted to relive one little story, which I know I've told you before, but I think cast your mind back, James, to I believe it was 1997. It was one of the first Boom festivals ever. It was the one in the forest. I don't know if you remember the one. I mean, out
Very, very foggy memories, but yes, I do.
out there in Portugal, and
Portugal.
I was a very young, impressionable, only just started producer DJ back then. And it was the first time, I think it was the first time I'd ever heard you play. And it was the first sort of inspirational moment for me of the whole party, I've got to say. And I ran up to you while you were playing like a keen little boy and handed you a CD of my first music.
may I add, he looked like something from Hanson at that point.
Yeah, I probably did. Yeah, I probably did. And I just gave you a like, give a listen sort of signal to you, and you were like, yeah, cheers, yeah, nice one. Probably threw it in the bin immediately because
Well, chances are I got racked up on and then promptly lost. Yeah.
yeah, I don't think you ever listened to it because cut to like many years later when I, thank God, managed to do something with my life and managed to close one of the Glade festivals. The first electronic gig I actually played was, God bless them, they handed me that closing gig at the Glade festival. And I remember you coming up to me afterwards backstage and going, "Well done, son," or something like that. Like "good job" or something. And then I remember telling you then, James, do you remember this? And I told you this story, and you literally looked at me and went, "Nah, mate," and walked off.
Yeah, nothing.
It was some big moment in my life.
Yeah.
And it just meant so little to you.
It's those big moments in your life which
I
really.
was probably embarrassed that I couldn't remember.
Yeah.
Because also there would have been a bit of me that was biting my fist because I missed that. It's a bit like that Beatles moment. That poor cunt.
You missed out. Down. You missed out on something.
I missed out.
This is it.
I missed out on something fresh.
Oh, yeah. Oh, it always just stuck with me that though.
You continue to do. I will play your trumpet. You continue to do, mate. So
thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
I'm more like the fifth member of the Beatles that just never really did anything. 1 and 2 in the place in the face.
Allaby Bedders Breakfast Show.
So once again, Mark, we will return to that interview.
Indeed, we will.
In just a few minutes.
Sorry to keep you waiting, James.
But first, we're going to play another track. And this is one of my tracks.
Hey.
This is off Swim Part 2 EP, which is out now.
Out now.
On Beatport.
Get it out on Beatport, on Nano Records.
On Nano Records. And this is the second in the series of my EPs titled Swim.
What does Swim stand for, Matt?
It actually stands for Someone Who Isn't Me, which is... thanks for asking, Mark. Because I always thought it just worked sort of conceptually. It sounded a little bit poetic.
Yeah.
But I actually got it from an acronym, or do you just say acronym, don't you? If you're just going to say that.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I'm talking about the English language, Mark. The acronym SWIM, it's something that's used on drug forums. So I noticed that people were using it for anonymity.
Yeah, sure. Well pronounced.
Thank you. We're only 2 beers in, so I got that one out. So basically, if someone wanted to hide their own identity but wanted to ask a question, say, I'm coming down off... whatever.
Like loads of green tea.
Loads of painkillers, or whatever it is.
I mean, didn't need to sully it, but sure.
Well, they would say, so Swim has a problem with painkillers, and Swim needs to know some advice on how to stop eating painkillers.
Sure,
it was like that. So it was basically used universally throughout this whole forum. And I just like that concept, as someone who isn't me.
Yeah, it's a cool concept, and actually it's a nice series, gorgeous artwork, and may I say, great couple of tracks on the first Swim. What was the... Who featured on that one?
There was a Allaby Bedders track
was there?
on the
That's
first
embarrassing.
one.
I didn't want to bring that up.
Along with one of my own.
Well, Rascal, cracking.
The second one features a track that I made with Hoppy, and also a track which I've had in my set for probably 4 or 5 years now. And it's, to be honest, Mark, it might be my favourite track that I've ever written. Yeah. And I know it's probably not...
It's stunning. It's a really stunning track.
It's not something I don't think that the scene was particularly asking for. You know what I mean? Because it's very minimal and very techno. And... but the breakdown for me was always kind of reminiscent of Orbital or something like that, those kind of acts that I used to listen to in the 90s, and quite melodic. So it goes from dark to very, very pretty, and I always like that contrast of dark and light.
It is gorgeous, and I'm mildly annoyed that it's being released because I've had it for a couple of years now, I've been playing it, and you've been selfish and releasing it now, but whatever. That's fine. So
anyway, enough about me.
Oh, enough about me. Let's talk about me.
Let's play the track. But Swim EP3 will follow, part 3, and then the plan is to release a kind of compilation or album of all of the tracks with possibly definitely a couple of new, fresh ones, and maybe some remixes, hopefully. But we'll see how that all pans out in the next few months. But let's have a listen to this.
This is Hiding to Nothing by Allaby. Take your top off.
Mean Sun by Allaby Bedders. Get it now on Beatport. It'll make your partner find you more attractive.
So, mate,
let's get into it.
Yeah, obviously this is the Noisily Festival special that we're doing right now, and we've asked you to come along for it because you're one of our favourite people generally in the scene, and you're obviously playing there as James Monro on the Noisily stage. And alongside Grant Darshan as 4D on the Liquid stage.
Yes.
How do you feel about the party? What are your past experiences? You've played there pretty much at every one.
They call me a resident so they can pay me fuck all.
Right.
Yeah. You know what? I'm so happy to be a resident of England's burgeoning, young and upcoming underground scene. It's fantastic. I love it.
Good stuff. Grassroots. Good stuff.
No. You know what? So what? Love it.
It's brilliant.
So what are your experiences of it? How do you find it? What's special about Noisily for you, man?
It's obviously it's a great crew.
Yeah,
it's very messy.
Yeah.
There's lots of fine totty. There's lots of good music. It's a beautiful spot.
Posh, bloody totty. Big hair, big wellies, big jewelry.
It sounds great. They put a lot of effort into it.
They have, haven't
and it's where the Glade left off.
There you go.
That's the one.
Noisily have kept a really dinky, funky, fun little story going.
Yeah,
and I'm all over it, mate. Love it.
So essentially the baton has been passed from Glade, onwards.
It's been well held.
It has.
Exactly.
They're doing a fine job. I think we'd all agree on that. All right.
And the lineup this year. I mean, last year I have to say I was a tad disappointed sonically, but this year the lineup's looking extremely promising.
I mean, I don't know about you, but Patrice Beaumont for me has put out some absolute monsters this year, so I'm quite excited about
oh,
that.
mate, he's a lovely guy as well.
I've not yet met
Deserves
him.
everything.
Not had the pleasure, but
Have you got anyone that you're particularly looking forward to seeing play?
other than Patrice Beaumont.
Hatzler.
Yes, mate. Well, we're actually going to be playing
Oh, mate.
We're going to be playing.
all over.
We're going to be playing that track on this podcast.
That track, but
that monster.
yeah, the monster. Yeah, exactly.
great.
Well, let's talk.
So I'm very, very excited to hear it because I've never heard him,
Right,
but I play his music
all the time.
avidly.
Yeah.
Hatzler.
And very, very cute. I mean, I find a lot of the time producers who DJ let their own side down, but
Sure.
I have high hopes for this man.
Great. Well, yeah, so do we.
Yeah, I reckon he's going to kick it out the park.
Well, let's make sure we all dance to Hatzler together unless they put him on at the same time as either of us.
And that would be
Yeah.
a terrible
That would be
situation.
awful.
I just hope that I'm not playing after him or before him.
There you go. Talking about playing at festivals, what's the fewest amount of people? We know you've played to an enormous amount,
Yeah.
but what's the fewest amount you've played to? What should have been? What you expected to be quite a big gig, and you turned up and it was
One.
Yay!
Yay!
Hey.
I got the sound engineer. I got the sound engineer on the dance floor. It was
Brilliant.
zero
Yeah.
until he started to feel it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got I played a gig in May 2 years ago and I played to the guy on a ladder hanging up a backdrop. So that was good.
well.
Now that gig, Matt and I were talking about this kind of thing. Occasionally there'll be a gig where they seem to just put an unlimited budget in terms of preparation and organising the festival, like organising limos to pick you up from the airport, and
I've had a couple of those. Look, I've been very lucky enough to have a couple of those. Drivers picking you up in nice cars and all of that kind of stuff, and the 5-star hotels.
But when you're playing in front of 0 people, it kind of how does that work out?
Well, what it works out is in a huge deficit for whoever put that party on. That's what it works out as.
You know it.
But what would you say is the most pimp thing that's been afforded to you when you've arrived for a gig? Have you had any sort of nice
dancing ladies, jewels?
Well, whatever it is, some extravagance.
Well, dancing ladies' jewels is a given.
Yes.
That's on the rider. It's the rider. Yeah, that's the rider.
It's the rider.
Okay.
I reckon helicopter was quite good.
Yeah.
Quite a good call, but yeah, waiting behind the stage to take me to the next gig.
Yes.
And then landing and literally going straight to stage.
That is
That is
badass.
rock and roll.
Yes, mate. That's badass.
That is brilliant.
I had a Ford Cortina pick me up.
Sure you did. That was
yeah.
your mum driving as well.
Shut up about my mum.
All right. All right. Well, while we're on, while we're on gig stories, again, there's got to be a wealth of info here, a wealth of stories. But give us one or two embarrassing stage performance-related stories while you've been playing.
Well, I'd
or at
say
least what's your favourite?
The first shocker in my life was a Technosomy gig back in '96 in Amsterdam, playing at the Milky Way, the Melkweg. Massive venue with a huge history from the Rolling Stones to the Sex Pistols.
Sure.
And back in the day, obviously, you had to put your whole recording studio on stage.
Yeah.
And we did that. We took the Polaroids prior to leaving because we were in the middle of a track. And the whole fucking
you
lot
did just
crashed.
seriously age yourself there. You took a fucking Polaroid of the setup.
So when we got back in, we didn't lose where we were.
Yeah, sure, I get it. But the Polaroid was just I wasn't expecting that.
We put the wireless onto the gramophone.
Yeah, no, please carry on. That just made me chuckle.
The only modern bit of kit we had was a Roland W30. The only bit of digital kit we had, which didn't crash, was the W30, which is pretty shitty, tinny digital Roland piece of kit.
Sure.
With a hi-hat on it.
Yeah.
Lovely.
A really nasty hi-hat.
There you go.
And that was the only thing that remained running.
Right.
There was, the place was rammed, and there was a really skinny white hi-hat playing.
That's all you had was a hi-hat.
But we had to then load up all the floppy disks.
Yeah.
Get the fucking sampler going, get everything going again. Try and find the patches on the MKS80. Try and get it all going again, which we did. But actually, what was a horror turned out to be an absolute fucking monumental moment because we had to improvise.
Brilliant,
amazing.
And because the Atari crashed, it all crashed.
Yeah.
And we had to start just playing notes and making weird noises and
Yeah.
try to get everything running, try and keep it in time.
Do we have anything that makes a kick drum?
The fucking place went Tonto. Once we got it all back up and running.
And it all worked out.
Yeah. It all worked out in the end, but that moment when everything went, the lights went out and
Yes.
nothing worked, was a fucking horror.
Yeah. Yeah.
And your heart jumps out your mouth.
The heart jumps out of your mouth. More recently, it was probably at the Sun Festival in Hungary.
Hungary, yeah.
About 4 years ago, 3-4 years ago.
I wasn't there, so I'm unaware of this story.
I've been up for a few days, asked a mate for something to keep me going.
Yeah.
Cup
of tea.
Like some green tea, James.
Yeah.
Like a pro.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Opened
sure.
the little plastic bag, I stuck my finger in it.
Sure.
That's
Okay.
a bag. Crystal LSD.
Oh no!
Oh my God.
And I had to play after Merv. And Merv had me on my knees in hysterics in the middle of the dance floor anyway, because he was playing some really rude music. And then suddenly I get a little tap on the shoulder. Right, you're on, mate. You've got 2 more tracks. You're on. I'm like,
Right,
you're
so
fucking having a laugh.
so
mate.
just a
I'm so
recap.
not.
You stuck your wet finger into a bag of crystal LSD.
and you put it into your Edinburghian mouth.
10 minutes, I was on my knees.
Yeah.
Oh mate,
Fortunately, a good one.
how did the set go?
Funnily enough, it went really well.
There you go.
The guy who dosed me. Well, I couldn't see anything. Fortunately, I had George with me.
Okay, so he was guiding somehow.
I was having a baby. I had to put the headphones on and work out what was going on.
Yeah.
Looking at these lights and then suddenly saw 1, 2, 2. I'm like, that means something. 1, 2, 2.
Yes, 1, 2, 2. Search the memory banks.
And then I slowly crawled back, but still, everything I was hearing on the headphones, everything I was hearing coming out of the monitors, it was just this wonderful wash of sound.
Yeah, sure.
And I somehow had to mix in amongst all of this, which apparently, anyway, the guy who dosed me up realised what he'd done to me. So very generously, he went round the entire dance floor. When I say the entire dance floor, there must have been about 60 people there.
Right.
And he dosed them all as well.
Sure, we're all on the same level.
Yeah, so everyone's in the
We're
same
all on
boat.
the same level.
Brilliant.
And I discovered so much new music on the back of it because I played blind.
Yeah, brilliant.
Yeah.
But often those moments are the ones that end up in the best moments, I think.
Well, you end up coming out of it maybe
Therein
learning.
lies the point. These horrors turn into beautiful, beautiful things.
Hi, Noisily Festival Radio here. What's your name and what are you doing here at the party?
My name's Jane. Hi. I run the Sacred Healing Space here at the festival. It's an area where we can all meet up with friends, we can share, we can give, we can receive, and most of all, we can experience the vibrations that are travelling around the festival together as one.
What does any of that mean?
I have absolutely no idea.
Techno.
So, a bit more techno, Mark.
Techers.
What are we going to play?
We're going to play a track from an artist who I just can't get enough of. I love his sound so much.
Really looking forward to this
Anyone
guy.
who loves a bit of Techers loves Hatzler. It's just this deep... I just love his sound. This track is called Prasm, not Prism. Prasm, and it's out on Senso Sounds.
Get your lugholes around this. Sounded a bit too sexy.
Hey guys, I'm here to bring you an important message. I want to talk about climate change. Corporations around the world are burning stuff and making bad gas. It's making the world really hot. 85% of the world's population are suffering unbearable temperatures. An area the size of Australia disappears into the ocean every day. Only the other day when I was in Iceland, I saw a man punch a baby seal right in the face. It's a real shit show out there. Anyway, guys, I need to jump on board my next flight. I'm flying over to Goa. 14th flight this month. See you on the dance floor. Let's blast. What? No business class? Oh, for fuck's sake. Better have a window seat.
Well, staying on that sort of similar, I guess, line, are there any sort of funny or embarrassing or horrific travel-related stories involving you or anyone you've heard of that you'd like to share with, like on your way to a festival, on your way back?
Well, probably being anally probed in Tel Aviv was still up there.
Yes, we really. This is the show.
Yeah, I lost my.
This is what
in Tel Aviv Airport.
Tel Aviv Airport. James lost his virginity.
Some fucking promoter got the hump that I was playing for somebody he didn't like. His brother works in immigration or customs or something. The next thing I know, I arrive. You know,
we all know there is
feeling positive about what I was doing. Of
course.
And look down. The woman looks at me, looks up, and I look down. She's looking at a piece of paper. There's loads of Hebrew, and then James Monro, and loads more Hebrew. And the next thing I know, lumps left and right of me, lifting me off the ground, take me into a little room, and nail me.
And not
with an audio.
Not knowing Hebrew, you didn't know that some of that Hebrew said anal probing.
Yeah. First off, it was fine. First off, toothpaste out of the toothpaste tube, DAT machine taken to bits.
Yeah.
Da-da-da, and then eventually put into a little cubicle with a tiny little, what's it called, curtain that didn't quite close.
Sure.
And then, pom, 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 5 little heads watching. It's like,
Oh, no.
spread my legs, lift up my sack.
Oh, dear.
The little cunt with the little cunt with little rubber gloves on, and I'll never forget him. He's imprinted in my memory. He did to me what my wife only ever wishes she could. And the next thing I know is, up it goes.
Oh, no.
I mean, did he buy you a drink after, or?
No, I got marched back with a police escort on the same plane that there. They'd been taking bets as to who it was. They'd been told that they had a punter who was being put back on the plane, and apparently they'd been taking bets. So for the duration of the journey, these people who were pissed off because the plane was delayed because of me, I could just feel the whole plane's eyes on me, and they're all kind of going, wonder what you did. I did nothing. I still to this day do not know why I was detained.
Sure.
All I know is I got a really moody stamp on my passport, and it took lawyers and a lot of cash to be able to allow me to come back into Israel.
Wow. I mean, I didn't think we'd get a
I
story
do
of
not
that
go
level.
there now without a work permit. Simple as that.
Yeah, I will staying on the travel related subject just for a second, because there is a story which is kind of folklore between at least the inner circle of DJs, which is the sinking boat story in Brazil.
Oh.
Let me just say, we don't have to go there for too long, but let me set this up just for a second, because at Universal Parallelo, once you'd left the party, you could go down the beach and get yourself a kind of fishing boat over to a peninsula called Barra Grande, or to another island or something like that. But to do that, you had to get on some sort of perilous, overloaded fishing boat. And I did the journey a few times.
It was actually the fishing boat. The fishing boat was the good bit.
Right.
It was a brand new, modern, state-of-the-art little speedboat that was the problem.
Now you were on a different kind of boat, were you?
With a drunk pilot with his mates.
Right. Okay, I didn't know this bit about the story.
And a big plastic sticker was 8 people, 8 pessoas, 8 people. And we were
on
like,
the boat.
We're 11.
Right. Okay. So that was that sticker was put on by someone who knew what they were talking about. I imagine,
not the drunk guy.
I've taken that perilous journey a few times myself, and the water did seem very, close to coming over the side, or it was coming over the side. And you always have your equipment with you at that moment, taking that journey, because you've just left the festival, So
yeah, exactly.
So what exactly? Where did the boat actually sink? Where, halfway across? I mean,
halfway, splat in the middle,
right?
Between basically
in an ocean,
it was twinkling lights. It was twinkling lights left and right. It's like, do we go left? Do we go that way? Or do we, there was only 8 life jackets. The boat sank. It took about 30 seconds. The boat was gone.
Yeah, that was a gunner.
Yeah,
most of the life jackets went with it. bless my wife, she was busy going, James's computer, James's mother. She was busy treading water with my bag above her head, already sunk.
Yeah.
And essentially, because I spent most of my life in Brazil.
Yeah.
That time I brought my backup.
Yes, I remember
like,
this bit of the story.
What can happen in a week?
Yeah.
What can happen in a week? Fine. I got my backup, my computer, my whole life in one little bag.
Yeah.
It's fine. Nothing's going to happen. Well, it did.
So that
And Macs nothing like seawater. So basically,
yeah.
10 years of programming, collections of music digitally, all down the fucking Swanee.
All
mate.
gone.
Wow.
So
Wow.
that-
I still
that
have
was the loss.
I still have the computer, and I look at it every now and again as a reminder.
You should frame that thing.
Yes,
Yeah.
keep your backup at home.
Yes.
Your backup at home.
Yeah.
It was one of those things. It was the most beautiful sunrise I've ever seen in my
Well-
life because we were alive, and it is pretty epic from a little sandbank in the middle of the ocean.
Unbelievable. And let's finish the story. I mean, how did you get rescued? What happened? How did you get out of that situation?
Well, we were on this little sandbank which started of about 2 square meters.
Yeah.
Fortunately, the tide was going out.
right.
So
it got bigger,
it turned
slowly.
into a little sort of sandbank. And then just as it got light, a passing fishing boat saw us all there and picked us up and took us to Barra Grande, where we were all like, right, we've got to get police report. We need to get insurance.
Yeah.
da. And it was just a closed circle of folded arms going,
Yeah. Just going, what are you talking about, mate?
what are you talking about? So we were like, no. That boat
Right.
no longer exists.
Yeah.
And we came up against a brick wall. It didn't happen as far as they were concerned.
Amazing.
It was a shocker.
Amazing.
But anyway, we were all alive. All good.
Unbelievable.
It was
And I
one
do
of those-
remember speaking to you like months or maybe even years later and you saying actually it was quite a good thing in the end because it was a refresher. All of those tracks that we've all got as producers that you haven't finished or whatever, they're all kind of wiped out. So you had to start afresh.
Yeah.
So in a way, it could have been a good thing.
And then I pulled emotional strings, got in touch with some of my favourite artists and said, look, this has just happened. And then just got a deluge of exceptionally good new music from people who on the sympathy phone.
Right,
It's
brilliant.
fantastic.
Started from afresh.
And it meant I had a total reset and started again. And it was you know how we hold on to the past.
Yeah.
It was a necessary start again.
The planets aligning. So
Well,
to speak.
sometimes life just deals you something like that.
Yeah.
And that's what it is.
Yeah.
So, James, I guess we're going
Yeah.
to take it down a bit more of a serious route. Obviously, you've played all over the world and pretty much hung out with all the sort of legends of the trance scene. Now, I guess the question on everyone's lips is: have you ever seen any of the trance legends fully naked?
Ooh. Well, it depends if it was personally naked or accidentally naked.
Whichever way you want to put it, James.
Name names. How was it?
You know what? What goes on tour stays on tour.
Okay,
All
all
right.
right, fair enough.
That's fair enough. Let's just get back to the music style kind of question. So, because I'm really fascinated by this, what is the music that really kind of influenced you, that kind of took you down the path? And I'd say sort of early influence sort of styles, and then maybe late.
It's one man.
Go on.
Yeah, one man. Jean-Michel Jarre.
Oh, okay.
There you go.
I mean, that's my first stratospheric space cosmos sonic experience was being given a copy of by my mum of Jean-Michel Jarre's Oxygen when I was 8, 9.
Wow.
And putting it on my little mono cassette player under my pillow of a night and just disappearing into what I still today follow. This epically beautiful space of frequency and vibration. And ever since then, that's been what kind of that journey of instrumental electronic music is what still holds me to try and reproduce.
Amazing.
Yeah, that's
Amazing.
great. That's a good answer. That. And is there anyone kind of who came later on, who you reckon when sort of dance music got going?
Tangerine Dream, Yellis.
Okay, sure.
And then all the sort of there were no lyrics. There was no preaching to you.
Sure.
There was no woe is me. There was my breakup with my girlfriend. It was just frequency. It was sound.
Yes.
That you could interpret that took you to places that nothing else could ever do, because when somebody's singing, you're only ever going to be at the behest of what they're singing about.
Yeah.
This music took you way beyond that, and that's why I love trance or hypnotic techno, call it what you will, to this day. You know, I love the fact that you don't have to speak a language, but it'll take people to the same place that it takes you, crossing borders.
Nicely put.
Very nicely put. And staying on this kind of sort of path.
What are, I guess, some of the more sort of cliche elements of trance that you try to avoid in your music?
Well, for now, it's just this relentless fucking breakdowns.
Yeah.
What the fuck? It's hypnotic trance. It's called trance, for God's sake.
Right? Yeah.
And what I really can't get my head around, and which is what's brought me back from techno into trance, is the fact that trance it keeps breaking down and playing heroics, and I'm just like, come on,
we need repetition.
Point. We need repetition, hypnosis with little things that keep on progressing and building it up to the crescendo, rather than create the crescendo in the breakdown. Fuck that. That's cheap tricks.
Yeah. Cheap tricks and always searching for the quick kind of orgasm rather than a slow just progression and build.
Orgasms in the track, which makes them cheap.
Yeah,
you know, one orgasm.
I'd rather have one really fucking good orgasm than 15, 20 mediocre orgasms.
Yeah, I know.
James likes to give one solid orgasm.
I want to shoot one right up the nostril.
Yay! Unfortunately, that is, I don't know. That's where we are right now. It's the same with social media. It's lots of little orgasms, isn't it? Every day we need those lots of little pats on the back, lots of info all the time.
Everything's okay. It's all right. It's fine. It's good.
Yeah.
All right, I'll get back to my phone and carry on doing work. Next. Oh, there's another one. No, stay there.
Stay
Dive
there.
in.
Keep it there, you
Stay
fucker.
There. Yeah, keep it
Keep it there for a few minutes. Jesus. All right, brilliant. What else on music? All right, here's something geeky quickly. Favorite piece of studio gear?
Well, obviously, stating the obvious, the laptop, which is my.
No, you got the laptop. You have the laptop. We want something. That's a given. Well, it could be a plug-in.
Because I've always been on the move. I sold all the hardware.
Yeah.
Everything's gone, so I'm out of the box. And the box is a great thing when you know how to do it and when you know what to look for. And there are people out there programming and making these wonderful synths and plugins that allow us to go further than some of the analog allowed you to do. Omnisphere is a favourite. It never fails to deliver something that I wasn't expecting. Fab filter plugins and the sound toys.
Yes,
which are just fucking boss.
Sound toys and
again,
Fab
they never fail. They never fail to kind of give you inspiration.
They're two of my favourites as well. Fab filter and sound toys in particular.
My HD25s, which I've DJ'd with.
I thought that's what I had you down as saying, the HD25s, because I know famously you love those headphones.
They're my reference when I'm DJing, and they're my reference when I'm writing music, because I know how good music sounds on them, because I'm obviously always analysing other people's music while I'm playing it.
And you're always travelling, so you're always hearing them. You're always hearing music through that particular system.
And I've had the same pair forever.
I'm Patrick Stewart from Star Trek. I've recently played a role in a movie called Allaby Bedders. I hovered above the dance floor in a helicopter, and all of a sudden, I noticed the whole dance floor's clothes falling off. Fucking magic mushrooms.
So, Mark, this next track is from one of the genuine... I know we use the word legend quite a lot.
Bloody legend.
But, there are quite a few of them, aren't there?
True. They say you are what you eat. I don't remember eating a fucking legend.
This is another one, though, a bona fide, genuine legend of the scene.
Legend.
A man by the name of Tristan.
Trizzle.
And I've got a special, place in my heart for this guy, because he really brought me kind of into this scene when I first began producing.
Yeah.
He was the first guy to take my music and play it on a huge sound system. It was actually the first Samathraki, the sound system there was ridiculously big.
Yeah.
And
they used it for I think a Rolling Stones concert from my.
Did they really? Yeah. There's a bit of info from Mark there.
Yeah, true. I was there too.
But a fun fact there from Bedders.
Yeah, you're welcome.
But yeah, he was the first person to do that, to actually play my stuff and show a bit of confidence in what I was doing. And I heard the early stuff on that big rig, and it did give me that kind of, oh, maybe I can do this, you know, that kind of confidence.
And what a guy to give you a vote of confidence. I don't think there's anyone in the psychedelic trance scene who people enjoy watching more play. Like, he's one of the most infectious human beings you could possibly watch.
He's a great character,
I love him.
Great artist.
Absolutely love him.
And and also, you know, he kind of held my hand for those first kind of few months through, setting myself up in the scene in terms of, labels and getting gigs and all of that kind of stuff. So I've got a huge respect for this guy. And we're going to play, this is basically the classic track of the podcast, because we're going to play one of his oldies but goodies.
It's a classic.
And this was on off Audiodrome, which was, I believe, a Twisted Records release.
Yep.
And this is my favourite track off that, and it is the most minimal and experimental, which obviously, is the one that I'm going to gravitate to probably. Sure. And I did ask him about this track, and I said, I bet this track is the one that took you the least amount of time to produce, and yet it's the one that I love the most.
And lo and behold, it was.
It was.
Yeah.
He did confirm that was the truth. But yeah, I absolutely love this. I think it's properly well ahead of its time. It's quite experimental and quite techy.
Yep.
And this is Mind Over Matter by Tristan, a real classic, old school UK trance tech type track. Enjoy this.
Wife just left you? Credit card just been declined? Coming down off hard drugs? Try Allaby Bedders in bits.
So this is the final link of the pod, Mark. We've still got the final part of the Monro interview coming up.
Indeed.
And but this is where we'll just wrap up the show, because James is going to introduce a track at the end of the link and at the end of the interview, and then we're going to hear a great track from the man himself.
I've enjoyed it. It's been a great show.
It's been a good show, hasn't it?
Yeah, man. Yeah. Thanks, guys, for being on board.
We should say thank you very much for James and James for
thanks,
the interviews. It was good fun, and it was a different, something a bit different for the pod, but we enjoyed it.
And hopefully given a little insight into, I guess, not only the festival, but also
the men themselves. I think they both spoke quite candidly, and we got some good info out of them there. So I hope you all enjoyed that, because there's some good stories in there.
Anal probing.
Oh. Yeah, I'll be thinking about that for months. Normal programming will resume on the next podcast.
Yep.
And we'll have all of our favourite bits and more.
News and all.
Let's wrap up with some plugs, and then we'll get back to the interview and finish the show off.
Get your plugs out.
So for Noisily Festival, you can go to noisilyfestival.com to get your tickets.
And any other information about travel and lineup and
all that kind of stuff.
All the cool stuff they've got going on.
And Facebook is at Noisily Festival if you want to go and follow them there. Allaby, that's me. Facebook and Instagram is at Allaby Music. SoundCloud is just Allaby. Bedders at Bedders Music. SoundCloud Bedders_music.
And the brand new Allaby Bedders Facebook page at Allaby Bedders.
Brilliant. So we are going to be posting the pods and any sort of little snippets.
Yeah.
Any bits we might use in the future, maybe if we're legally able to use them, like videos that
that kind of thing,
pictures that we might talk about on the pod. They're all going to be posted on that page,
including actually, if any, like we've always encouraged people to leave comments under the SoundCloud page, which you can carry on doing. But what I'd also like you to do is leave comments on our Facebook page now as well, as we've now got.
Ask us some questions, whatever, suggest topics we might talk about on the pod, and we'll deliver that. And also, you did all answer the call to action from last month's pod, and you did all start to leave comments. Yeah. So we'll get to those on the next podcast, and we'll answer some of those questions and comments that you left. We couldn't do it this time because obviously it was the Noisily Spesh.
Exactly.
But thank you very much for that, and please continue to leave comments, like and subscribe and all of that kind of good stuff, and spread the word.
All that gumph.
And also, this podcast is produced by a little company called Ideal Noise. And you can visit idealnoise.com, where you will find a number of sort of mixing, audio type, music production type services. We do masterclasses on Ableton and music production. Maybe you have a track, and it's a good track, but it doesn't quite sound awesome enough. We can make that happen for you.
Maybe you have a podcast that you want producing, or you want voiceover work done for you, which I can happily do for you.
Yes. And that also will come under Ideal Noise, so I get my cut.
Yeah, can I have some money?
But yeah, visit idealnoise.com for anything music, production, or audio related. So let's wrap this baby up and get back to the final part of the interview with James Monro, and we'll hear a track from the man himself. So have a great week and see you in bits.
Allaby and Bedders. Surprisingly short when you meet them.
So, James, I mean, obviously you've played some pretty epic sets, pretty long sets. I know that you closed Azora a couple of years back. I spoke to you just before you were about to play it, actually, and you're very excited about that. So what was the longest set you've ever played? And also, toilet. How did you manage toilet duties during that experience?
Very good question.
Thank you.
18 hours is the longest I've done.
What? Fuck off. We were thinking you were going to go 6 hours.
In Mexico with vinyl, funnily enough.
Okay.
I only recruited myself.
You got 18 hours
vinyl
with vinyl.
did you have?
Yeah. I had 15 kilos of vinyls, but about 60 pieces of vinyl.
Right.
Discovered loads of little incidental B-sides, because when you're playing that long, you've got to, keep finding things you haven't already played.
Sure.
And discovered loads of new music. The altitude achieved at that time didn't really matter. So it meant that the tunes you played didn't really matter quite so much. Everyone was absolutely spannered.
Yes.
Yeah. And I probably got away with murder.
Yeah.
But it was
18 hours. Yeah.
The secret was they kept feeding me ceviche, really nice liquid, and tequila.
There you go.
Brilliant.
I do not remember.
So not much beer and water then. So not much toilet.
Yeah, we were on the Caribbean coast, so there was always jump in the sea, have a quick whatever, and get out. Yeah.
Stick on a long piece of vinyl.
Have you got any sort of pre-gig rituals? I know. I know.
Shitting myself.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
This is a lovely thing about James Monro, because I've had the pleasure of being your friend now for a number of years and done many gigs with you. And a lot of people won't realise this, but you do genuinely get quite nervous between a lot of your sets, even though they're all pretty much always epic sets.
Yeah, like iconic sets.
Yeah.
I would say.
But it's an amazing thing to see sometimes.
It's one of these things. I get so nervous before playing. I guess because you want to deliver the best you can with the music that you've got at your fingertips. You want the audience to fucking go somewhere.
Yeah.
And
you care. That's the thing. You care about it.
As someone who loves to be on the receiving end of that, which I am, that's what feeds me. There's nothing worse than hearing somebody not perform
absolutely
to the best they can.
Yeah.
So I'm always I'm my own worst enemy on that front. Mediocrity doesn't feature.
No.
It has to be good.
Yeah.
And I don't hate. I absolutely fucking love it. I live for it. But those moments before playing, I end up red carding my wife time after time because she's talking to me. Like, babe, shut up, leave me alone. And I have to send her off because I go into a little zone that it doesn't matter whether it's to 10 people or whether it's to 35,000. It's the same place, and I guess it's a place of caring, and it's a nerve-wracking environment. It's a responsibility.
Yes, it is.
You've got a lot of people.
It is a responsibility.
At the end of
yes. Yeah, and if you don't take it seriously, fuck off. You shouldn't be there.
Fuck off.
And
a lot of people, as time goes on, more and more people don't seem to really give a fuck.
100%.
Yeah.
And that's not to say everyone, but there are a lot of people who just. It's all about them.
Yep.
To me, it's not about me.
No.
It's about them. It's about the audience.
Yep. Well,
and that's what feeds me. That's what keeps me striving for more.
And we do feel that when you play, man. So happy days.
God bless you, James Monro.
God bless you, you fucking legend.
All right, so just to finish this off, we're going to play one of your tracks, so we'd like you to introduce it. Did you actually... In the magic of editing, you can just maybe come up with a name.
We're going to be calling your track called Shifter, which is yet to be released, aren't we, James?
You are, yeah. I mean, it was Omni 2, but that was just literally the work in progress name. Yeah. So I've just literally popped a name out.
Absolutely.
Shifter.
Well, would you like to introduce that track for us then?
Well, here's one that came out of my wonderful little studio here, with techno, trance, euphoria, the world around me. It's all in there. Shifter.
Wicked.
Pleasure.
See you at Noisily. Lots of love.
Lots of love,
you
mate.
will.
Bye-bye.
And to you.
Bye, man. Bye.
The person whom you're trying to reach is currently unavailable. Please leave a
For
message.
fuck's sake. Nobody loves us, Mark.
Fuck's sake. What are they doing?
Perhaps he's out barbecuing out the back
Naked.
with just an apron on.
Yeah. With his bare ass. Darling, bring in the salad.